Okay, so I think we came very far so far. We now seen how we can create different routes to load different components depending on the browser route. So if the browser is /list, we load the list one. If it's add, we load the add, and so on and so forth. But so far the user has to type on the top of the page to come to these things. We don't want to do that. We want to create a navigation bar that can handle this. So to do this, let's create a component called nav bar. You go to the components new JavaScript file and call it nav bar. Let's enter. And now, of course, create the component, call it nav bar. But now I will not type everything here, or let's type it, no problem. Write nav and then ul and then li, and the first one will be banking app, and below it we will type li, and it will say, for example, accounts, and the last one will say add transaction. Okay, so that's it. If you now go to your app.js, and here on the top above the route you could now do nav bar, do this nav bar and close this, and of course you need to import nav bar. It should be nav bar and nav bar. So I just repeated the account because they are on the same location and change it the name. Okay, so now if I go to this link, I would see here account and add account. Of course nothing is happening so far. If you go to /list/account/list, it will load the list, but I will still see my account navigation bar. Okay, so of course they are not a link. How do you create a link in normal cases is you write a tag, and you will say if someone clicks on accounts, they need to go to /accounts/list, and if they come here you can write a tag href/accounts/transaction, for example. But we don't have now transaction, so we will create it soon, no problem, and we will do this. Okay, and for now let it take us to add. I mean, in the future we will fix it, but now when they click on this we will go to /add. Let's test our code, and if they click on accounts we get the accounts. If they click on add transaction we get the add transaction, we get the add account. But of course we want the add transaction, and the add account we want to create a link here that can take us there. So we can go to our accounts table, and on the top of the table here we can create an a tag that says /accounts/add, and here we will say add account, and that's it. Now if you go there up, and if someone is on accounts, they can find this button called add account. If they click on it they can add an account, and they see their account added basically here. Okay, and still everything works the way it's supposed to work. And there you go, current, and you can put this, and that's all. Okay, all right. Now of course this is not transaction so far. I just wanted to show you only, that's why I'm linking it to add accounts. Let's go back to our nav bar, and first of all create the transaction. So in the right click, new, and create a JavaScript file and call it transaction form. So we call it transaction form, React functional component, transform, and transaction form. And in the transaction form, what I will do is, why are you complaining? Okay, yes, rename file. Oh, okay. Refactor, rename, transaction form.js, and it's fine. I made a mistake on the name. Okay, so I have transaction form, and you already have account transaction in the old one. You remember there is the old one. You can go to account transaction. You can copy this account transaction form, go there, and in the transaction form you can paste it between the two div. And what you will do now is the same thing we have done. The first step is, whenever you find input, you do what? You close them. And whenever you find on click this type of things, you remove them. And now that's it. So you have this form in transform, in the transaction form, and everything else is fine. Now we need to go back to our navbar, and instead of add, now we will say go to transform, to transaction slash add slash transaction, and slash, or let's call it just trans to make it shorter. And now we will go to our app here, and we import trans. So we'll say, hey, we want the transform, and we will bring it the transaction form, and we'll create one more route here and pass what? If it's a slash trans, if someone comes to slash transaction, who will we load? We will load the transaction form. Okay, so in the case of a slash account slash this, we load this, and in the case of transaction, we will load the transform. And now there is one last fix I think we need to do, because I changed now. It's not called slash account slash trans, it's called slash trans. We will go to the navbar and make it a slash trans. So navbar has two actions. It can either go to the list, and it can go to the trans. And if they go to the list, above the account table they can find the add. And let's put a break here to give a break between them. And now let's go to our account. So you see, if they come to the add account, they find what? Add account, and they can click on it, and it will take them to the add account. And if they press back, they go back. And if they click on add transaction, they find the transaction. Of course, now we don't have any accounts loaded to it, but soon it will have all of the accounts loaded to it. Okay, and basically we're almost done with the navigation. The only thing that's missing now is, whenever we press the add account, please watch the top of the page. Okay, I want you to focus on the top of the page. So let's close everything, refresh, and when I click on the add account, you see the page is reloading. Just focus on the place that says documents. If I press there, it's reloading. The whole page is basically reloaded. It's not changing some part of the page. And if you go to the inspect even elements, and I click here, see the whole page is deleted and reloaded. Now this is not what we want. What we want is just to load the inside part and not to reload the whole thing. How to fix that? We will use something called link. So we don't use a tag, we will use link. So first let's fix in the navbar. In the navbar we import from React router DOM, and here now it will auto suggest you this is the one we want, link. And everywhere you see a tag, you replace it with what? With a link. And everywhere you see href, you replace it to a tag, link, href 2. And that's it. Now we did also the same we need to do in the account table. In here we need to do the same thing. So we import link from React router DOM, and now the A tag should change to link, and the href need to change to 2. And now the code is exactly the same. It looks like a link, but now the nice part is if we inspect, it will no longer reload the page. Look, if you go to the elements and I click on account, you see the whole page is not refreshed. Only some part of the page is replaced, okay? And you can clearly see here, let me open them. And you will see when I click on add, you see the thing that's being replaced, only the inside part, only this part is being replaced. And that's the power of using React Router. It will not reload the whole page, it will just load the part that you need. Imagine now if you design a game that has multiple different parts, or a Twitter account where different part of it is loading different things, or a news feed loading in the left side of the page. You don't want to refresh the whole page, you want to refresh part of the page. Basically that's what we are trying to do, and perfect. So let's move forward. It's complaining about something, and it's complaining the label tag. So yeah, there is a warning here. It says the tag label is not recognized, and it's telling us where this is happening, the problem. Where is it happening? It's happening in the transform. So in the transform, he's saying the warning is basically saying there is something called label. So let's find that thing. We go to the transform and search for this tag, and yes, it's this tag. It's supposed to be what? Actually, it's supposed to be label, like that, not label. It's supposed to be label. Okay, now let's check. Add inspect, and if you go to console accounts here, then no issues. Okay, no problems so far. If I click on the add accounts, I can add some accounts and it will add them here. Alright, excellent. So now with this we are done almost with the routes, and now we will create the edit and the add transaction, and then we will link everything to our server.